Good morning. The current chapter is going to discuss the comprehensive approach, key elements for successful predictors, which includes reliability, validity, cut scores, concurrent validity, predictive validity, and selection from a global perspective. Finally, excelling at the interview. In the previous lecture, the selection process was covered discussing its main 8 steps, which include initial screening interview, completion of the application form, pre-employment tests, comprehensive interview, conditional job offer, background investigation, medical or physical examination, and finally, permanent job offer. Today, we will discuss the following points. The comprehensive approach. Based on the general selection process as being comprised hurdles, beginning with a screening interview and final with a selection decision. This approach, however, may not be the most effective selection procedures for every job. If, for example, the application form shows that the candidate has only 2 years of relevant experience, but the job specification requires 5 years, the candidate is rejected. Yet in many jobs, positive factors can counterbalance negative factors. Poor performance on a written test, for example, may be offset by several years of relevant job experience. This suggests that sometimes it may be advantageous to do comprehensive rather than discrete section. Or selection. In comprehensive selection, all applicants complete every step of the selection process, and the final decision is based on a comprehensive evaluation of the results from all stages. Let me draw your attention to key elements of successful predictors. Actually, human resource is concerned with selection activities that can help predict which applicant will perform satisfactorily on the job. In this section, we explore the concepts of reliability, validity, and the cut scores. Let us start with reliability, which refer to that the applicant's performance on any given selection device should produce constant scores each time the device is used. For example, if an organization uses tests to provide input to the selection decision, the tests must give constant results. Similarly, if the test is reliable, any single individual's scores should remain stable over time, assuming that the measured characteristics are stable as well. For example, an individual's intelligence is generally a stable characteristic. And if we give applicants an IQ test, we should expect that someone who scores 110 in March would score close to 110 if tested again in July. And if in July the same applicant scored 85, for example, the reliability of the test would be highly questionable. Validity. High reliability may mean little if the selection device has low validity. If the measures obtained don't relate to a relevant criterion, such as a job performance. For example, just because a test score is consistent is no indication that it is measuring important characteristics related to job behavior. You should know that it must also differentiate between satisfactory and unsatisfactory performance on the job. Now let me draw your attention to differentiate between three specific types of validity: content, construct, and criterion related. Let us start with content validity. And this refers to the degree to which test content or questions about job tasks as a sample represent situation on the job. All candidates for that job receive the same test or questions, so applicants can be probably compared. Secondly, construct validity is the degree to which a test measures a particular trait related to successful performance on the job. These traits are usually abstract in nature, such as the measure of intelligence, and are called constructs. Finally, criterion-related validity. And this is the degree to which a particular selection device accurately predicts the level of performance or important elements of work behavior. This validation strategy shows the relationship between some predictor, test score for example, and criterion, say production, output, or managerial effectiveness. To establish criterion-related validity, there are two approaches which can be used: predictive validity and or concurrent validity. Cut scores. And this separates successful from unsuccessful performers. Cut scores on a selection device can be determined by validity studies. And you should note that applicants scoring below the cut score are predicted to be unsuccessful on the job and are accordingly rejected. Concurrent validity. The concurrent validity method validates tests using current employees as subjects. These employees take a proposed selection test experimentally where their scores are immediately analyzed, revealing a relationship between their test scores and existing performance appraisal data. Again, if a relationship appears between test scores and performance, a valid test has been found. Predictive validity. Actually, you should note that predictive validity is the preferred choice. And its advantage over concurrent validity is that it is demonstrated by using actual job applicants. Whereas concurrent validity focuses on current employees. These validation strategies are similar, with the exception of whom they test and the time that takes between gathering of predictor and criterion of information as depicted in the following illustration. Actually, human resource management professionals might use testing to determine which applicants will perform the job well. Concurrent and predictive validity are two ways to determine if the tests used are good predictors of job performance. Let us explain. At first, tests are distributed across all applicants and the scores are then recorded on a file. Second step, applicants are then hired based on a preset criteria regarding the test taken. Then, after a year, performance is then re-evaluated. If a relationship exists between the two test scores, then a cut score is determined for further selection. And in case no relationship exists between test scores, then the process is repeated all over. Selection from a global perspective. The first point to note that the selection criteria for international assignments are broader in scope than those for domestic selection. To illustrate the point, to make it clear, in addition to such factors as technical experience and leadership ability, an international assignment requires greater attention to personality and especially to flexibility in the design. The individual must have an interest in working overseas and a talent for relating well to all types of people. Actually, the ability to relate to different cultures and environments, sensitivity to different management styles, and supportive family are often selection requirements. The last point in this part is excelling at the interview. Interviews actually are popular because they help the recruiter determine an applicant is a good fit for the organization in terms of the level of motivation and interpersonal skills. Let me draw your attention to the following suggestions that can help you as an applicant make your interview experience a successful one. First, do some homework on the company. Second, get a good night's rest the night before. Third, dress appropriately. Fourth point to be considered, arrive for the interview a few minutes early. Then use a firm handshake and maintain good eye contact. And take the opportunity to have a practice interviews. And finally, thank the interviewer in person and send a thank you note. Okay, thank you for your attention. And here is some questions for discussion. Good luck.